Welcome back to our series on the National Baseline Cybersecurity Framework of the Maldives. Today, we are diving deep into a really critical piece of the Essential Eight, application control. It sounds simple, but when you get it right, this one thing can stop some of the most sophisticated cyber attacks right in their tracks. So yeah, let's get into it.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at what happens when good everyday tools go bad. Then, we'll get into what application control actually is and how you can build what I like to call a digital bouncer. We'll also take a look at the attacker's playbook, see how they try to sneak past these defenses. And finally, we'll tie it all together with the NCSA's maturity model right here for the Maldives.
So to really understand why this is such a big deal, we need to start with a story. A cautionary tale, really. It's a global cyber disaster that shows you the massive, massive cost of not controlling what runs on your network. $4 billion. Just let that sink in for a second. That's the estimated damage from a single ransomware attack that literally swept the entire globe back in 2017. And I'm pretty sure you remember its name, WannaCry. Now check out the sheer speed of this thing. In just one day, a single day, it hit nearly 250,000 computers in 150 countries. WannaCry basically spread like wildfire by using a known Windows vulnerability. And here's the kicker. A patch was already available. The problem was, countless organizations just hadn't gotten around to installing it. And look, this wasn't just some IT problem, not just a headache for the tech guys. The WannaCry attack crippled hospital systems. We're talking canceled surgeries. It shut down government services and brought businesses to a grinding halt. It was this brutal reminder that uncontrolled code can have absolutely devastating consequences in the real world. So the big question is, how could you stop something like WannaCry before it even gets started? Well, that brings us right to the heart of our topic today, the principle of application control. The concept itself is beautifully simple. Instead of constantly chasing every new piece of malware out there, you just flip the script. You create a list of approved, trusted software that your business actually needs to run. If a program isn't on that list, it doesn't run. Period. End of story. This is just the perfect way to think about it. Imagine a bouncer at a super exclusive club. He doesn't care who you are, what your story is. He checks one thing and one thing only. Is your name on this list? If the answer is no, you are not getting in. It is as simple as that. And what this really represents is a huge shift in security thinking. For years, we relied on blacklisting, basically a list of known bad guys. It's totally reactive. Application control uses an allow list, which is proactive. It can block brand new malware, something nobody has ever seen before, simply because its name isn't on that approved guest list. Okay, so that's the big idea, but how do you actually do it? Let's roll up our sleeves and look at how you build this into a real, practical strategy to protect your organization. Right, you definitely can't just flip a switch and call it a day. It's a process. It all starts with an audit. You have to know what's actually running on your network first. Then you build your approved list. But maybe the most crucial step is deploying an audit-only mode first. This lets you see what would get blocked without actually breaking anything. You get to fine-tune the rules. Then, and only then, do you flip the switch to enforcement. And you've got a few different tools to build that guest list. You can make rules based on the software publisher, so you trust anything signed by Microsoft, for example. You can use path rules, letting things run only from protected folders like program files. Or if you need to be super precise, you can use a file hash, which basically says only this exact version of this one file can run and absolutely nothing else. Now, let's put on our black hats for a minute and look at this from the other side. What do attackers do when these controls are missing? Understanding their playbook really drives home just how vital this whole defense really is. And this takes us to another massive real-world failure, the infamous Target data breach. Attackers got in and installed their own custom malware right on the checkout machines. Just think about that. With proper application control, that unapproved program would have been dead on arrival. It wasn't on the list, so it would have been blocked instantly. But of course, attackers are clever. They don't just give up. They try to blend in. They'll disguise their malware as a legit update. Or, and this is a really sneaky one, they'll use a technique called living off the land. This is where they use tools that are already on your allow list, like PowerShell, and use them to run malicious commands. This is precisely why just having a list isn't enough. You need a well-configured policy too. And this is a really important dose of reality, and it comes from Microsoft itself.
Application control is incredibly powerful, but it's not a silver bullet. It's not a magic wand. It's one critical layer in a much bigger strategy. It has to work together with other controls like good patching, user permissions, and network security.
So let's bring this all home. How do we actually apply this in the context of the National Baseline Cybersecurity Framework for the Maldives? Well, that's exactly where the maturity model comes into play. The NCSA framework gives organizations here in the Maldives a really clear roadmap. A lot of places start at level 1. It's kind of the Wild West. Anything goes. Level 2 is a bit better, but the rules are inconsistent. The baseline, the goal for everyone, should be level 3. That means you have a standard, centrally managed allow list that's applied everywhere. The higher levels, 4 and 5, that's all about measuring how well you're doing and constantly improving. So if you remember one thing from today, let it be this. To build a truly strong defensive posture under the framework, your organization has to aim for maturity level 3 as an absolute minimum. A defined, managed, and consistently enforced application control policy isn't just a nice-to-have anymore. It's the required baseline for security. And we'll just leave you with this question to think about. Because at the end of the day, you probably know what software you installed, but do you really know what software is running on your network right now? Controlling that isn't just one step. It's the very foundation of a secure environment.